good.
If that doesn't get you hyped for the weekend, I don't know what will. Welcome to the Championship Lowdown preview of the weekend's games. I'm Elliott. I'm here with Ollie. Who do you support, Ollie? It's not very clear from your camera.
I think this is the 1991 Hull City shirt. So
yeah,
it's a retro
really,
one, this one.
Really look like you've been mauled by the Tigers. We'll get straight into this weekend's game before we have any more cringeworthy banter. As if you've listened to this podcast before, you might know I'm a Birmingham City fan. And yet I had to be talked into putting us as the game of the week. It's the number one game here. Coventry City at home to Birmingham City. The reason I didn't want to put us first is I think we might lose this week.
After last week's debacle of me predicting what the results are going to be, I don't even know where to start. I mean, obviously I did have to talk you into putting yourselves first. I just think it was slightly bigger game than the West Brom Leicester game, just because of how you've started. It's the only reason I'll go with that. Yeah, I mean, Coventry didn't score last week. That's a surprise.
It is a surprise.
It's a surprise, and
now used up that not scoring week.
Yeah, well, here we go. So they're back at home against you guys who. What form on the road? Are you a bit concerned about that going into this game against Coventry, especially after they haven't scored? Are they going to put that right this weekend? Probably going to bag again.
We're patchy away. We haven't scored in the last two away games, and I think in those two away games we had one shot on target against what is one of the most miserly defences in the league and one of the most terrifying attacks in the league. I just simply think, like, I'm very punchy about our chances this season. I genuinely think we're one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the division. Even now, like, I still think that. But I think Coventry might be the best. And we're away from home. If we were at home, I think we could get a draw here or maybe even sneak a win. Away from home, I just don't fancy us.
I think given that they didn't score last week, Coventry, it's not just all on Coventry, obviously. Obviously, it depends which sort of Birmingham side turn up and if they decide that they actually want to start putting some goals in the back of the net. You've scored 5 goals scored this season. So, 5 goals scored, 5 conceded. So you're middle of the road, really. I mean, you're still 8th in the league with not many goals in the games, to be fair. But going into this game against Coventry, you've got 15 for 7 against. 2 games in which they haven't scored. I will bring up that they didn't score against us again. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to call, I think, this one. How do you split these two sides? Surely there's going to be goals in it. You would expect Birmingham to hit them. I'm going to take a page out of James's book, I think, and I'm going to sit on the fence and get some splinters and go for a 1-1 draw. 1-1, 2-1. I've got 2-1.
So my issue here is that Coventry are us, but slightly better. Like, they are very solid and they strangle you out of games, except they actually create more than we do. I think that 5-goal tally kind of belies how much we've created. Like, I mean, against Swansea, that game was not a 1-0 game. That was a 2-1 game, a 3-1 game. Like, I mean, Swansea literally scored and it was disallowed for, thank you, linesman. I don't think that was the correct decision, but thank you very much. And I think we should have scored. We should have scored a couple. We should have scored at least one before we did eventually score. And we do create at home, but we've not created away from home. We're playing against a team who don't give up much. And I think it's probably a style mismatch for us as well. I think it's a Cov 2-0. I really do.
Don't think he'll score.
No, I
I'm
think
just,
they're
I'm just
just
looking at this.
too.
I was just looking at the stats from your game against Swansea last week, and they got the XG in that game 2 for you guys and 1.43 for Swansea. I mean, like you say,
Yeah,
it probably does look at but like a 2-1, but
yeah.
Swansea are a difficult side to play against and to break down. Obviously, they've got that sort of fluidity in the middle, and they make it tough for teams to get the ball. So to get an XG of 2.1 against those guys. I mean, Coventry do leave themselves open to a goal. You know, it's been proven that they can concede goals. Derby did it to them. And against a team with the attacking capability of Birmingham, who might start clicking away from home at some point. I know what you mean.
Even last season, when we obviously got 111 points in League One, we were still patchy away from home.
Yeah.
We will pick up points on the road this year. I just don't think we're going to do it at the Rico. Like, I loathe to give Coventry too much credit, but I do think they're probably the best team in the division right now. I know Middlesbrough are top. I'd be more confident if we were playing Middlesbrough. That's the
There's a
truth.
shout.
That's the truth. That's the Coventry scare me. They really scare me.
Very good going forward. Dangerous going forward.
We will get to Middlesbrough very soon. But first of all, was Friday night's game, which is West Brom versus Leicester. This was very nearly the game of the weekend because this is two teams sort of around the same part of the league. We expect them to be similar level as well coming into the season. This feels like a really important game for playoffs, assuming Leicester don't get points deducted or even automatics.
Yeah, I mean, they've not really excited me a great deal, to be honest, Leicester this season. I've picked them up a little bit here and there, and I'm looking at the highlights of the games and stuff. They've got that young kid on the wing who's obviously an exciting player, but they're not scoring many goals. I mean, that game, Coventry last week, I mean, obviously, they're up against Coventry. They're going to cancel each other out. They actually had more ball than Coventry, which is a strange one to say how well Coventry hold the ball and go forward. But again, you know, Coventry do like to hit on the break a little bit. So do you take much from that? It's probably a good result for Leicester. But, you know, going into this one against West Brom will obviously be disappointed, having lost last week. Unexpectedly, should we say? Was it unexpected? No, it was the Middlesbrough game, wasn't it? No, Middlesbrough. I'm going back to the Oxford one, the Oxford result. Losing my mind a little bit. No, I mean West Brom, Middlesbrough are the form team in the league at the moment, regardless of whether we're arguing whether they're the best team or not. They are the form team in the league. They're still yet to be beaten. So to go there and lose 2-1 is probably not a bad thing. I mean, I know they got a goal late on, so to dig into the game and still get some, you know, to get a goal at the Riverside, not too bad. I've been speaking to a West Brom fan today, who's saying, you know, they're changing the game up a little bit. So if they're finding that a system's not working, Ryan Mason's not just sitting on it and waiting for something to happen. He's proactively trying to force something to happen, and whether that be going two up top and trying to see how that works. Going into the game against Leicester this week, it's a tough one to call again, isn't it? Because obviously Leicester are cagey. Are they going to try and go there and sort of choke West Brom into sort of submission and try and stop West Brom playing their exciting sort of brand of football? Another real tough one to call. I think I don't want to predict a draw here. So I think there'll be a winner, but which way do you think it'll go? How do you see this one?
I think Albion will win. Obviously we played Leicester and I know they beat us, so it sounds like me being bitter, but I really wasn't that impressed. They scored early on and then they like really struggled to really impose on the game, and I think they won by virtue of us not breaking them down more than them actually doing too much. Like, we had plenty of ball in dangerous areas and just really struggled to do anything with it. And they sucker punched us late on with a guy who should have been sent off. I'm not bitter or anything.
You don't sound it.
No, of course not. I'm of the opinion that Leicester aren't actually that good. I think West Brom are a better team, especially at the Hawthorns. It's a horrible place to go. Not just for the football, just it's just a horrible place to go. And no, it is a horrible place to go and try and beat West Brom for championship teams. Like very few championship teams go to Hawthorn to come away with anything. I don't think Leicester are a team who can break that trend. There's probably like 4 teams in the league who you'd back to get points at Hawthorn.
Although Derby did it. So,
yeah, well,
it's a strange old decision, isn't it?
One of the 4, what can I say? No, I mean, yeah, of course. Like, it does happen, but no, I've got Albion winning this.
Yeah, I think in my prediction, I've put
3-0.
Oh, wow. I've gone a little bit tighter than that. I've gone 2-1, but again, going on my predictions last week, I'd listen nothing to me.
Okay, we will move on to. We've mentioned Middlesbrough a couple of times. It's only right that we get on to them now. We got Southampton versus Middlesbrough. This is another barn-burning clash right at the top of the table. Like Middlesbrough, we weren't necessarily expecting to be at the top of the table at this point. Southampton, we sort of were expecting to be at the top of the table at this point, and they've kind of not hit those heights just yet. But there are flashes that they might be pretty good. I mean, they took Liverpool to the 80th minute the other day, and that's got to count for something, right?
It does, but we put them to the sword last week, and I'm not just saying that. We absolutely deserved to win that game. We were 3-0 up, and they didn't score until stoppage time, and we were good for it. You know, we didn't look like losing the game at any point. I mean, they had more ball than we did, but you'd expect that for a Southampton team with the quality that they've got in their ranks, but they didn't impress me at all last week, and nothing scared me about their performance. It never really looked like. As soon as we scored, it kind of felt like one of those games where we might just push on and score again, rather than sort of invite their pressure. And that's a strange thing to say as a Hull City fan, because we've been wide open. But I fully expected Southampton to click last week against us. I thought it was one of those games where it's come at the right time for them. They're playing a team who are wide open defensively, who basically like to gift teams points when they come to the MKM Stadium, and they didn't capitalise on that, whether that was our performance or not. But then in midweek, they backed it up with a really strong, positive performance against Liverpool, in where they had real chances to score goals. And if it hadn't have been for, do you want to call it striker ineptitude, they just didn't take their chances, and they were glaring chances as well, weren't they? They weren't just like, oh, they might have scored the goal. They should have scored goals.
He got the yips.
100%. 100%. And they could have punished Liverpool, and probably should have done, given their opportunities. So back to the league, back to St Mary's. Last time they were down there was against Portsmouth. They were pretty poor in that game as well. But that was the South Coast derby. So do you take a lot from that? I don't know. But then to back it up with the performance that they did against Hull City, is there a pattern emerging here? Do they need to try something differently? It's a difficult one because they're up against the form side in the division. Middlesbrough are going to go there and see what we've seen. I can't see Middlesbrough doing anything differently than what they have been doing. Just going into games, making it difficult to score against, score goals on the break. I foresee Middlesbrough winning this. I really do. If Southampton do click, they're going to trouble them, obviously. But Middlesbrough, they're at the top of the league for a reason. And why not? Why can it not carry on? I foresee it carrying on, and I see a 2-0, 2-1 Middlesbrough.
So the way I see this game is you have one team who are open at both ends of the pitch. Like Southampton will score plenty of goals this year, but they will, if they keep playing like this, they will also concede plenty, as we've seen. When they have clicks, I think was it first game against Wrexham? They absolutely tore Wrexham to shreds, and they should have scored a lot more. Like their attack is genuinely quite scary. Whereas Middlesbrough are, and this is going to sound ridiculous because they've scored 11 goals, but I don't think they're as scary going forward to Southampton. Like they've scored those 11.
They're solid, aren't they? They look like scoring goals. They don't look like overwhelming teams, but they look like scoring goals, and that's a dangerous thing.
But they've scored 11 goals off like I think 6.7 XGs in a row. I've got here on my screen. And it's like if you can keep that up, if you can keep scoring, but it's very rare. What I will say is, by pretty much any metric, they have the best defense in the league, coming up against a team that has one of the best attacks in the league. That's pretty fun, but Southampton being at home, that pressure's got to tell. I don't think they can just sit in. I think they have to try and attack Southampton. We could see a different side of Middlesbrough because I think Southampton will make that game open. I'm going to shoot for a Southampton win, but I think it will be like both teams to score, Southampton to win, like a 2-1 or a 3-2. I think Southampton are open at both ends, but at St Mary's, it's really hard to bet against them. They're still one of the scariest teams in the division, as far as
100%. There's a reason we all predicted them to be top 2 at the end of the season, and I think that they probably still will be. I just think that this season is. We all know how difficult the Championship is to call, not let alone to predict the winner of it. A game is hard to predict. So, but this season, it just feels like it's so open, and it literally could be anyone's from 1st to 12th. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, obviously, but it's an exciting season. It's an exciting season, and there are so many teams who could be in there with a shout this season.
Do you know who it hasn't been an exciting season for? Sheffield United.
One of the Sheffield teams, yeah.
It is Sheffield United, and they are away to Oxford United, I should say. They are yet to pick up a point. They are having an absolutely miserable time. And this actually feels like a must-win, an away from home must-win in the Championship. At this early in the season.
Against relegation candidates, Oxford, relegation rivals, Oxford. Do we talk about Sheffield United as a relegation candidate yet, or not?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think
that was unfair of me. I think I shouldn't have asked.
But I also was adamant that Leicester weren't going to win the Premier League until like the moment that Eden Hazard shot went in. So. Oxford, I think it's actually worth saying they've been much better recently. They
really have.
They were good last week. They were all right though 2 weeks before. Like this.
Well, the game against
this looks
the game against Leicester. The game against Leicester was. I appreciate Leicester had the 10 men, but. Loads of chances, loads of possession against Leicester. I appreciate that. 10 men, fine, whatever. But to back it up, to go to Ashton Gate and win 3-1, they've started bloody well at Bristol City, and to go there and to win comfortably as well as they did, they deserve some credit, and I think and they deserve to be spoken about positively because we have given them a bit of grief this season.
Yep. I will say,
play.
I had them finishing 10th on the season preview, so I'm exempt from this giving them grief thing.
I did predict them to go down.
Yeah, I predicted them to finish 10th, which might be equally as insane. But this is, what we're getting at is that this is not by any means a gimme win for Sheffield United. This is if you're going to win this, you're going to have to grind.
And do Sheffield United have a grind about them? Do they
the grind to a halt? Yeah.
I mean, they go any slower, they stop. It's simple as that. They've scored minimal goals. They've not looked like scoring goals. Again, they were poor last week at home. You would expect that. You say new manager bounce, but it's about his 17th time of being there, isn't it, Wilder? So it's like, what sort of reaction do you expect from this Sheffield United team who are massively low on confidence? They're rock bottom at the moment. They're 4 points adrift of Sheff Wednesday, who are absolutely, well, we all know what's going on there. And they're 4 points in front of Sheffield United. They'll be in semi-dreamland with that. It's the only positive of their season. And how does Sheffield United back it up? How do they grind out a performance? How do they get a win? They're coming up against an Oxford side who we've just discussed who were playing well. They took Leicester all the way. Probably should have won. Winning at Ashton Gate last week, which we've all seen so far this season, is a hard thing to do. Bristol City have scored goals. And to go there and win it. Well, yeah. 4 against us as well. To back that up this week, going back home again, Oxford, Sheffield United, they'll be happy that they're playing Sheffield United. They really will be, because there's an opportunity to back this up again and to be unbeaten in 3. And
I'm gutted we're not.
yeah, I mean, when I don't even know when we play Sheffield United, to be honest. I hope it's soon. But
they'll be good.
I was going to say, yeah, if it turns, they'll probably go on a streak, won't they? But I don't see them winning again. I don't see them winning. I think Oxford get a result here, and I say Oxford get a result. I see Sheffield United getting a result here, and I see a draw.
Yeah, I think draw.
I can't see them winning. I just think it's got the marks of a bit of a desperate battle. Sheffield United are going to have to go all out to try and get a result, and I think that plays into Oxford's hands a little bit.
I know I've been caught saying this before. I don't think Sheffield United are that bad. They're bad. They are bad. But like, so again, I was looking at underlying numbers earlier because I found that stuff interesting, and I find it. They've scored 1 goal from 5.6 xG, which is like, again, like, I don't know. I'm sure plenty of people aren't expected goals believers, and that's fine. But like, they've had a lot of shots. Like, the odds that they've scored 1 from that is so low, and it just can't continue like that. They've also conceded 13 from 8.4, which there's probably some effect of like poor goalkeeping or defenders so far out of position the shot's easier than it is, whatever. Like,
there's the Ipswich game thrown in there as well, where they absolutely got slapped off the park, and that could have been 10, you know.
Yeah, and
I see what you're saying.
They're not good, but I don't think they're the 24th best team in the league. I think they're like 20th. I think they're poor. I think they'll escape relegation. and
they need to start picking points up then.
But that also does include the Ruben Sayers games, and they will be a better team under Chris Wilder. I didn't watch them last week, but I'm sure they can't have been any worse. That squad is too good to be this bad. And
there was a few shots which went sailing over the bar and things like that. So it's just,
they will start picking up points, and I think it'll start with a draw this weekend. A boring draw, like a 1-1 or something. Just solidify, get us back on track before Chris Wilder starts doing the overlapping centre backs thing that he always does. That's his legacy. Like, I saw somebody say Chris Wilder is one of the most influential managers of the last few years. I actually think it's true. Like, actually, a lot of top coaches picked up the overlapping centre backs thing. It'll be a while before he can do that with this team. Don't get me wrong.
Just looking at their next fixtures after this, they've got Southampton at home, and then a massive game where they come to the MK.
Sheffield Wednesday. Oh, okay. I was hoping you were going to say Sheffield Wednesday. That's a game I need.
No, not yet.
I need that as soon as possible. It's going to be.
It's not even in the next 5.
Disappointing. So disappointing. Anyway, we both have a draw for that game. We'll move on to what I have listed next. Is Ipswich versus Portsmouth, which I think is a interesting one because Portsmouth have been probably better than most people thought. I think I actually had them quite high in the season preview. I just kind of like the look of them. And every time I've seen them, actually, they look like a good footballing team. They look like a good team. Ipswich have come good. This is one to me where it's like the home advantage matters so much for Ipswich.
It's a fascinating one for me. It's Portsmouth, obviously notoriously good at home, got beaten well by Sheffield Wednesday last week. We didn't see that coming. Nobody saw that coming. No. Sheffield Wednesday probably didn't see that coming. So to go to Fratton Park and to win as well as they did is a massive result for Sheffield Wednesday. So Pompey, how did he back it up with an away game to Ipswich? Who? Yeah. They clicked well, but they clicked against Sheffield United, who we've just discussed. Are they that poor? But they've been tough to break down, Pompey. Regardless of last week's result, I put that down and write that one off because that's not a performance that Pompey are going to throw out here there every week.
It happens. Losing to
of course it does.
Happens in the Championship. Everyone loses games.
I think this is going to be a tight game, mate. I think Pompey are going to go down there, and make it hard. really hard for Ipswich to sort of get their flow on, and I think they'll try and hit Ipswich on the counter attack, which Murphy's been fantastic for Pompey this season. He's like he was last season. He always is. He's such an outlet. He's got so much pace and so much guile and ability, and he looks like he could just turn the game at just the drop of a hat. I think he's a fantastic player. He's a real one to watch. Obviously, going into that game, Ipswich have obviously got their own on the other side in Philogene, who he should not be playing his football in the Championship. Let's be honest. He's a Premier League player. How do you keep a player like that quiet? I mean,
you can start by not giving it to him like Sheffield United.
It's a difficult one for Ipswich, really, isn't it? Because obviously they ultimately got their game written off last week, having the news coming out today that they had to actually replay the game, which they'll be buoyed by, because they were down to 10. Losing 1-0, 10 minutes to go, writing's on the wall a little bit there. Do you come back against it? Blackburn at Ewood Park? Probably not. So they'll be. I would say good
teams do turn it around from 1-0 down 10 minutes to go at Ewood Park. I would say that.
With 10 men though, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. So I think Ipswich they'll take that.
That pitch.
They'll be really happy with that outcome.
That pitch was so bad. That game should have been called off like half an hour before it was.
100%. 100%.
I don't feel that bad for Blackburn because that pitch was unplayable.
Ipswich will be delighted with that though.
Yeah, and I think they'll win this weekend. I think being at Portman Road, that they'll score 2 or 3 here. Pompey might get 1, but I don't think it'll be enough. Like I just think Ipswich are going to start their ascent and their assault on the Championship title. They've already started it. I think that this is going to be a win, and they're probably going to win a couple more in a row. I think they look a little bit terrifying again, which is a shame because I was starting to believe that they might be a bit rubbish.
Does Greaves' red card still count then?
I believe it is. Currently, it's saying that it has been said that it's going to be rescinded, but I think the precedent is that it isn't.
Okay.
I don't really understand exactly how that works. To me, if you get sent off, you should get banned. But I think he's
well, I mean, obviously the full game gets replayed. So do they just cancel everything that happened in that game? I don't. It's a strange one, isn't it? How do you call that one? I think it'll be tighter than that. I think. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think it'll be tighter than that this weekend. I think Pompey make it a difficult game, and Ipswich probably still will win, but I think it'd be by the odd goal. I think it'd be maybe 1-0, 2-1, something like that.
Fair enough. Very slight disagreement. We will move on to your boys. We've talked about mine already. We'll go to Watford versus Hull, and I will confess this is only 6th in the running. Because you're on here. If there was no Hull fan on here or Watford fan on here, this game would be somewhere near the bottom because this feels like a bit of a lower mid-table. It could have ramifications.
Well, it is.
Yeah, but it feels like it's kind of not that important at the moment. I mean, it might end up being important, but Watford versus Hull. What do you think?
Should we talk managerial sackings? If Watford don't get a result this weekend, does Pezzolano get sacked?
As a rule, yes, Watford are probably going to sack their manager if they lose this weekend. You can say that about every week.
It's Watford.
If Watford lose, they're going to sack this week. Yeah.
It's just the quality. The thing is, I back if we back our performance up against Southampton last weekend and play like we did against Southampton last weekend, we win.
Yep.
For me, it's as simple as that. The difficulty is we don't travel well. We never travel well. We leave ourselves too open, and we don't have a good record at Vicarage Road. We don't. And it's the nicest place in the world to go to, Vicarage Road. I've always said this. I remember years and years, the nicest place to go, just because of the fans. I'll say this, right? The one reason I'll say this, in 2008, the year we got promoted to the Premier League, right, for the first time, I went down there and they were miles clear in the league at this point. And they just said to us, no idea why we're up there in the league. We shouldn't be anywhere near. You're miles better than we are. And then you're beating us 1-0. Obviously, we beat them in the playoffs, and then the rest is history. But it's always stuck in my memory, that one. So it's the nicest place to go to. We've got a nice bunch of fans in Watford boys.
Just to clarify, Vicarage Road is the nicest place to go.
The nicest place in the world.
Football ground or just place?
It's not the nicest football ground in the world to go to, but just in terms of how you're welcomed as a football fan, as an away fan, they were nice. You know what I mean? That's all I can say. They were nice. Sometimes you go there and you feel a little bit uncomfortable to different places. Vicarage Road wasn't one of those places. It was you go there, they make you feel welcome, and go and enjoy your football today, mate. He's speechless.
That's such an indictment of Watford as a club. I think.
I think it's wonderful.
No, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be nice. Like, it should be hostile. I don't want anyone to.
How can it be such a hostile place when you? It can't be a hostile place when you got somebody as nice as Elton John running it. You can, come on, nice place. Anyway, Watford, indifferent, poor start. You'd say probably. They're not very exciting.
No, they're not.
They're one of those teams where you don't know what you're going to get with them, and I suppose that's what happens when you continually change your manager. We've proved it last couple of years, not to the same level as Watford, obviously, but I think we go there, we put on our performance, we play like we do at home with Giles getting forward, putting those balls in across to McBurney peeling off the centre halves. We should win this game. I think we're a better side than Watford. I think we play better football than Watford. We just need to make sure that we stay tight in that middle. And if we do stay tight in the middle, we don't concede and we come away 2-0.
Oh, don't stay tight.
We did against Southampton.
Fine,
Southampton, you even said how exciting and good Southampton are going forward, and they didn't score until the 93rd minute.
You've also conceded 12 goals this season. I think you don't.
We've turned it around, mate. It's a playoff push now.
It's a playoff push. I mean, I do think. I do think. Yeah, no, I do think Hull have got a really good shot here because I do think Watford are very much. Yeah, they're not particularly interesting to watch. They don't do anything massively well. They're a fine team who sort of exist in that void between 20th, like 21st, I suppose, and 14th that I'm very, very familiar with as a Birmingham City fan. And their season feels very, very familiar. I think Hull will definitely score at least one, maybe two, but you also concede. I'm going to go with a 2-2, I think.
The thing is, I'll say about Watford, the last game they won was against QPR in August. And they've lost to Charlton, they've lost in the League Cup to Norwich, they've then lost to Millwall, and then lost to Blackburn. They're not exciting games. You know, those games aren't a run of games where you'd be thinking, we're going to be, we're going to be looking down, losing 4 games on the spin here. But they are. And it's not as if they were playing Ipswich, Southampton, Leicester and Birmingham. They were playing those teams. And no disrespect to those teams. They've obviously made it hard for them. Millwall, hard players.
Millwall are a good team,
yeah. I mean, I just don't see Watford getting anything from this game, especially with our confidence. I just hope, and obviously there's a slight bit of bias in that. I just hope that we can keep it tight. But we should keep it tight, and we should come away from there with a win. So we'll see. Watford fans, remember how nice you are. Keep it that way.
Fair enough. We'll move on to the team who are second in the table with that's Stoke. They're at home to Norwich. This feels like a slam dunk, which means Norwich will probably win because that's how the Championship works. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely works like that. Norwich losing at home to Wrexham. James and I last week were saying that was a slam dunk for Norwich to win, and then Parkinson loses his job. But How do you? I don't know. I don't know how to call this game. You would expect Stoke at home, solid, hard to beat, score goals, keep it tight defensively. I'm loving what Sorba Thomas is doing there. He's been a great acquisition for Stoke. Norwich are going to be short of confidence, but this is the Championship and you do not know what is going to happen. How do we call this game? Do Norwich go there and turn it round? I can't see that this weekend. I see Stoke winning. I see Stoke winning fairly comfortably, and the hard arms kind of rumble on a little bit for Norwich, and they've got Ipswich coming up shortly. I think it's in a couple of weeks, so it's they're going to need to start picking points up, and they're probably not going to be picking points up this weekend.
No, I pegged Norwich at the start of the year as a team I was very excited about, could finish in the playoffs or just outside it. They have not looked like that team. They are so open defensively. Stoke.
We appear to have lost Elliott. Just talk amongst yourselves while Elliott comes back.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I'll start that point again. Yeah, as I was saying, I think Norwich are way too open defensively, and I as much as I pegged them to be one of the better teams in the division at the start of the season, I liked what they did in the summer. They just don't defend well enough right now. Stoke are a good team. I don't foresee them being a top 3 team for like by like the end of the season. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I don't foresee it. I think they're not quite creative enough. I don't think they quite create enough chances to be up there. But they're a difficult team to beat, and they will beat a lot of teams at home this season. I say all logic points to a Stoke win, but this is
where's logic? Where does logic sit in the Championship? It just doesn't. There's no room for it. If Stoke win this game, right? Stoke win this game, and Middlesbrough are going to be top anyway. They play each other on Tuesday night.
Wow,
Middlesbrough against Stoke on Tuesday night, so it's a big game coming up. So you're probably looking at, if obviously Stoke do get a result, it's going to be a top 2 battle on Tuesday night. Middlesbrough could really push on next week.
Really turning the table. Stoke are going to have to win on a rainy night in Middlesbrough. Really love to see that. And see, are you really cut out for English football if you can't win on a rainy night in Middlesbrough? No, I think
they'll be delighted with that
because everything points to a Stoke win. I'm going to say Norwich come away with a draw somehow, like 2-2 or something. It's they do create going forwards, Norwich, and you know.
Oh yeah, they're 9-9, so it's you'd want more. You'd want more goals,
true.
But equally you'd want to be conceding fewer than that. I think Stoke win. I'm going to go Stoke 2-1.
Yeah, that makes more sense, but I just don't think this league.
But again, there's no sense in the Championship. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we will move on to what is, I'm realising, far too low down on this, which is Preston North End in 5th, at home to Bristol City in 3rd. Is this a playoff-defining fixture?
Not for me. Not for me.
Not yet. Not yet.
I don't think so. I mean, Preston, to be fair to them, they're doing a lot better than what I predicted them to be doing. And fair play to them, but I mean, they're obviously there on merit. But you look at their for and against column. They scored 7 and conceded 5. These games aren't exciting to watch, are they? But are they going to be bothered by that if they're sat in 5th at the end of the season, going with a chance of getting to Wembley for the playoffs? Absolutely not. They'll be delighted with it. Bristol City, on the other hand, you'd probably talk them up as overachieving as well. They're scoring goals, but they've scored goals against Hull City, where they scored 4. They've scored 4 against Sheffield United, who are rock bottom. Are they in a false position? Probably, given last week's defeat to Oxford. Preston at home at Deepdale, they're horrible to play against. They make it so hard. They make it tight. They make it cagey. They bring you down to their level. But then they score the odd goal and win. And I think they do that again this weekend, and Preston come away 1-0. Bristol City, I think they will fall away a little bit based on the fact that, you know, what I've just said. They've scored goals, lots of goals against poorer sides or teams who have been more open. And Preston, not many teams are going to go to Preston and put them away. But I think Preston come away with a win this week.
I'm with you pretty much word for word. I trust Preston more than I trust Bristol. As I said, Bristol have scored a lot of goals against poor teams, and then and we saw the cracks appearing last week. I just don't trust Bristol. Having from what I've seen of them, I just don't trust them. And again, maybe I end up with egg in my face, but Preston, as you say, at home, horrible team to play against. They will grind you down. I think of Preston away as one of those gatekeeper fixtures. If you can get a point or even 3 at Preston away, you are a top. You're like a playoff team or a playoff chasing team. Preston, that is it. I've always hated Preston away.
I remember a conversation we had not too long ago when you said similar things about Millwall, and they came away with a 3-0 defeat. So let's see what happens with Preston this week. They then back up their home game with Bristol City against a trip to us. So we'll see what happens there.
Preston away and Millwall away are they are those fixtures.
The epitome of the Championship.
Yes, exactly. They epitomise Championship fixtures for me. Preston or Millwall, in a midweek night game away.
Yeah, it's not nice, is it?
that is harder than if you're getting Arsenal in the cup or something. It's horrible. It's a miserable experience.
We had a spell of playing Arsenal in the cup pretty much every year. I think for about 5 seasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd much rather have Arsenal than Preston.
Absolutely, I would much rather play Arsenal than Preston.
There you go.
We will move on. There is a soundbite. We've had a couple. Vicarage Place is the nicest place in the world. Is the other one.
Yeah.
One of those is probably the title of this as you clicked on it. We will move on to Wrexham, who are at home to Derby, which on paper is near the bottom, both near the bottom of the table. But I'm willing to bet that we have similar opinions on that one team is probably better than the other here.
Yeah. Wrexham better than Derby?
Yeah.
Yes. I think Wrexham win. It just based on the fact that they're at home, they just don't go away, regardless of how the game's going. If they're 2-0 down and they're not in the game at all, they just don't go away. And to be fair to Phil Parkinson, we wrote him off last week, James and I, and where we said that they lose this game, he's gone. They dug in there and got a result, and fair play to them. No, we didn't expect that to happen, and to come away there and then to be backing that up with a home game against Derby, who have started poorly. Let's be honest, they don't look like where they should be or where they'd hope to be. I think it's a real tough ask for Derby this, and to be going back to the racecourse this weekend, they won't want to be going there. The crowd are going to be up for it. Wrexham up for it. Ultimately, they've seen Parkinson rise them up from nothing. So there'll be a lot of their fans there who'll still be on Phil Parkinson's side, I'd expect. They'll obviously want more, and they'll obviously want to push on. Whether you see that with Parkinson or not, I don't know. But I think this is a banker for me. Wrexham win 2-0.
So I'm gonna hit you with some numbers, and then I'm gonna tell you why they don't necessarily mean anything here. So if you look at the expected goal difference in the Championship, these two actually profile as two worst teams in the division. Derby's expected goal difference is the lowest in the division. Their expected goals, their attacking numbers, are the worst in the division. Wrexham's are actually very, very good. I think they're joint 4th for expected goals scored. However, they have the most porous defense in the division with 13.4 expected goals against, which makes, when you look at that, you're like, okay, these two are both sides equally pretty bad and all that. However, Wrexham then went and signed a bunch of players near the end of the thing. They're at home. And you saw them last week, they did not look like they conceded a lot of those expected goals. I think against Southampton early in the season.
Yeah.
I think they've tightened up a little bit more recently. They seem to have turned something of a corner, and again, at home, Wrexham are a completely different beast. I agree. I think it's a banker, and I think Wrexham's sort of expected goals numbers are a bit false in that they will I think they'll pick up pretty quickly. However, I still think Phil Parkinson will not last until like November. I think
I don't think he will. Which, I mean, it will be a shame because obviously the journey that he's been on with Wrexham is fantastic, as we all know. But there is surely only so much or so far that Parkinson can take them before they do need to push on if their ambitions are to get into the Premier League, which they've clearly said they are. So yeah,
they have enough money to give him like an ambassador role or something. Just keep him in the club as a club legend, and be like, thanks for your hard work. Here's like, I don't know,
we'll name a stand after you or something.
Here's Nuno Esperanto Santo coming in.
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised, would you?
I would be very surprised. We will move on to the final 3 games. These are the games that I have decided are my least favorite games of the week.
Nothing to do with me. This, yeah.
No, any hate from your if you're a fan of these teams, they go to me. Swansea versus Millwall. This feels like 2 teams who are going to be. I thought Millwall would be just outside the playoffs. I did not think Swansea would be very good. I've kind of flipped my opinions. Having watched Swansea last week, I actually think they're pretty good. Whereas Millwall, I think, have been quite disappointing this season. What do you got here?
0-0 is what I've got here. I've
Fair
got
enough.
0-0. I've got 0-0. The next to each other in the league. 10-8. Swansea, I like what they do with the ball. They look very fluid with the ball when they've got the ball. The one thing that concerns me about them is when they score, they just sit and just expect to be able to win the game on that odd goal. And you can't do that in the Championship because you will get punished. And I just think Millwall this season, they do what they always do. And it's the gritty, the horrible, they're just a nasty side, and they make it so hard for them to beat, and they're just big and physical, and they'll do that this weekend at Swansea, and Swansea will find it hard to break them down. I don't think they will break them down, and Millwall will be fairly happy with that. I think they'll be delighted with a 0-0 result.
Yeah, having said what I just said, actually, that's a case of my eye test. Like, I've watched Swansea and I think they're good. I've seen bits of Millwall and I didn't think they were good. Numbers tend to disagree that they're a bit higher on Millwall and a bit lower on Swansea than I am. But I got to trust my eyes here. I think Swansea going forward they looked as good as anyone we've played this season. Now, we've played Leicester, we've played Ipswich. Like, we kept Ipswich out for a long, long time. We really struggled to hold Swansea. And obviously they did score. It was just allowed. And I thought going forward, Swansea were pretty scary, actually. That Zidane Inus, I think it is, on the left wing, he's lightning.
Yeah, he was very good against us, albeit he did come up against Coyle, who had just come back from injury. So, you see, on the flip side, I thought Swansea were very, very cagey in attack. I didn't think they looked all right in spells, and then, like I say, when they did score, they just thought, right, that'll be enough. That'll be enough, and it just isn't. And you can't do that. And it's an interesting one. How we've both got sort of differing views on Swansea, really. I mean, obviously, Swansea backed up their draw with us with a fantastic win in the Cup over Forest. So you've probably seen both sides to them there, haven't you, in that week, where they were pretty cagey and didn't really like to throw a great deal at us because they felt like what they'd done was enough. But then on the flip side, they went forward with that attacking premise and thought, actually, we can score goals. And they did that against Forest. So it's a real tough one. I just think Millwall, with their sort of physicality and their sort of nastiness and sort of grit, it's got a 0-0 for me. It'd probably be about 4-4 now, you watch.
I do sort of feel like Inus and Ronald have the sort of air of an inconsistent winger, and the Millwall is the sort of game where that player actually kind of really struggles to get involved. But I don't know. I just got a feeling Swansea 2-1. Like, I just got a feeling that they're decent and they'll be better than the table shows based on what I've seen. We will move on to what I have as my second least favorite game of the weekend. I do feel sorry because I nearly always have Charlton near this thing, and it's Charlton fans should almost take it as a compliment that they're actually because they're so competent at what they do, they're actually not that interesting. Like I had them pegged as better than Wrexham at the start of the season, having watched them in the Championship. They're a really good team. They're just not for a neutral. They're not all that interesting, but they're really quite solid, and they look like they've been in the Championship for years.
They absolutely do. And I was just going to say that actually. Well, I was going to wind back to the very first podcast I did, which was the league predictions. And I said that Charlton might have come up a season too early. I'm eating my words with that now. They look a really competent Championship side. And they're going into games where you don't know whether they're going to, you don't know what's going to happen because they're so solid and so difficult to beat and so difficult to break down. And they're scoring. They can score a goal and sticking in games till late on. They
scored 4 goals.
Yeah, but what I meant by that is they're sticking in games until the end and then coming away with wins where it would generally be a draw. So they're showing a character to stay in games for long enough to be able to know that they can still get a result going into the 90th minute. So, yeah. I mean, they've got, they beat Watford. Then they've followed that up with a win against Sheffield United, which I'll be honest, I was delighted about. But Millwall draw, we've just discussed how tough they are to play, and fair play to Charlton. They are making it hard. Like you say, it's not the most exciting football in the world, but they won't be bothered if they stay up, and they'll be delighted with these little 1-0s and 1-1s. They won't mind at all. Blackburn, they're going to be gutted, aren't they? That they didn't managed to finish that game against Ipswich last week. I mean, we've already discussed the state of the pitch, and it probably shouldn't really gone ahead. But going into that last 10 minutes and then getting the match abandoned, and then now having to replay the entire game, they're going to be gutted. Charlton 1-0.
Every week I predict either 1-0 Charlton, 1-0 against Charlton, or 0-0. 2-0 Charlton. I've decided 2-0.
Wow.
They're gonna score 2 this week. Like you say, Charlton are exactly the team I thought we were gonna get in the Championship. They are a nightmare to play against. They are very, very solid. They are very tactically aware, and with just enough talent to create just enough. I think they'll definitely stay up, which would have been the goal for the season. And now it's about
100%.
It's like, how comfortable can you be? Because the higher you finish, the sort of better tier of player you can attract next season. You get more money, and it just all that feel good stuff. And it's a credit to Charlton that we're putting them this low when they're playing against a team who we also are like 18th on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just thinking it's kind of not a dead rubber, but for Charlton, it's fine. We're not worried about it.
Like you say, they shouldn't take that as an insult. It is a compliment. I know they're low down, but it's because it's not exciting. That's the only reason. They'll be fine this season for me.
Yep, I completely agree. We will move on to our final game because we're already quite late into this podcast, which will be, as always, customary Sheffield Wednesday last. They're against QPR. I actually think this one's kind of more interesting than normal, but I'll let you take the floor first.
Absolutely. Sheffield Wednesday winning last weekend, like we've discussed already, that win at Fratton Park is a massive result for them to put a bit of breathing space between them and the Blades. They'll be delighted with that, And then obviously coming home this weekend is a nice feeling for them. Hopefully for them they can back it up. I just think they're coming up against one of the form sides in the division. QPR, since they lost 7-1 to Coventry, have won. Have they won every game since then? I think they've won every game.
They've won 3 in a row. Yeah.
So they beat Charlton, beat Wrexham, beat Stoke. It's a real tough ask for Sheffield Wednesday. It's a real tough ask, and fair play to QPR, because that could have been a real sort of. It was a kick in the teeth, wasn't it, to lose 7-1 to Coventry? But let's be fair. On the day, Coventry could probably do that to anybody.
Yeah.
And QPR since then have just turned it on. 3 wins in a row. They can probably back it up this weekend against Sheffield Wednesday. It's tough one to call, but I think QPR will get a result here.
Sheffield Wednesday are going to win.
Ooh. And ending on controversy.
They're going to win. QPR, yeah,
And,
they've won
and
3.
Sheffield United don't win. Let's say Sheffield United don't win. Sheff Wednesday do win. There's 7 clear of them.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Again, it feels ridiculous to say when they've won 3 in a row. I'm not convinced by QPR. Like I know the 7-1 was a freak result, but I also think like 1 or 2 of their wins afterwards have also been kind of like not freak results. But I'm like, I don't know how good QPR are, but I don't think they're great.
Mm.
And I think Sheffield Wednesday are like remarkably difficult to play. Like I really thought we were going to go into the season and Sheffield Wednesday were just going to roll over and be whipping boys. They are not that. They're one of the worst teams in the division, but they're one of the worst teams in the division.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
They're not even bottom. And like when you sort of look at their games, they've come close in some of them. They've picked up points. I mean, obviously they've won last week. Like
push Leicester all the way. You know, they've shown real determination, haven't they? And that's credit to them, given what they're going through, and they can really take a lot of pride in that. It's a horrible time for them guys, but they'll be enjoying being above Sheffield United, despite the fact that they're still in the bottom 3.
I think we play them Tuesdays. Hopefully they play all their starters, all like 6 of them, this weekend, and tire themselves out. I just got a feeling Sheffield Wednesday 2-1.
Yeah, there's no logic to the Championship, is there? 3-0 QPR for me.
Sheffield Wednesday are going to win. That's plenty enough of our faces and voices for you, I'm sure. We'll hopefully be back next week, whether it's both of us, whether it's one of us with the Welshman or somebody else. You never know. We like to mix it up. We like to rotate, keep our players fresh for the midweek games. I've been Elliott. This has been Ollie. This has been the Championship
Pleasure.
Lowdown. Thank you all very much.
See you next time.